you treat it all as one. If one of these things are down or not going good, then the whole thing is not going good. Just like there is cons to doing a lot, there are pros as well when you're making them complement each other. Looking at what influenced us and then spinning it to how we could show what we're about.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of the K Digital's podcast, where we dive into artists' origin, their style, and the process. Joining me today is Brahim Gousse. How you doing today, Brahim? I'm
doing good. How are you?
Doing good. It's getting hot in California. You're in California too, right? You're up in LA? Or?
I live right in downtown, so I'm in the heart of downtown. It's kind of cooler over here though, even though it has been hotter lately. For the most part, it's cool.
Yeah, so. That's cool. Yeah, because I think we just got over like the June bloom and all that, where it's still kind of happening. But yeah, well, cool. So Brahim, the way I like to kick off every podcast is to ask artists to define who they are. Right? Usually, it's artists will say, "Oh, I'm a photographer," or "I'm a painter," or "I'm a musician." And just before I call, right, you do a lot. So how do you see yourself?
I would just proclaim myself as an artist. Really just and a lot of these days, if you say you're an artist, a lot of people put it to music pretty much for the most part, but just an artist. Like if I feel like painting, then I'm gonna paint. If I feel like making rugs, I'm gonna make rugs. Video editing, directing, and then I'm in a rock band that's / hip hop Slay Squad, as well as I make solo music as well. So just artists, a chaotic artist.
Yeah, for sure. And I've heard that word, like there's always going to be, like we said, like a photographer, or there's a painter, where there's like people that are very like, this is what I do. And then people are like, oh, I'm just an artist. Like I just like creating. And so whatever I have my hands in, that's what's going to happen.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Did you paint those like Powerpuff Girl stuff behind you too?
No, actually, my beautiful girlfriend painted those. She paints, and she also has a clothing brand as well.
Oh, nice. What's
Pretty Ugly?
I've seen the, if you go to the Goose Nest page, I've seen you tag that. I didn't know that was.
Yeah. That's my girlfriend's. Yeah. Right here, we do everything in here. We shoot in here. We do. We shot Slay Squad, Shay Sheen. That whole video was just shot on black paper in my house. So like we moved to LA probably about a year ago, about a year and 3 months. And then basically just built a space to where I could edit, record music. I record here as well. Do video cinematography, do photography, network with people, and we live here as well. So it's like live and work space. There's no TVs in here. It's just straight. Like,
okay. Yeah. I feel like there's probably I want to get rid of TV too, but that's what I do, right? So it's like, I feel like it would help the atmosphere, but then I'll be bored and just go on my phone. But how do you? No, go ahead.
Not that yet. Basically, before I moved here, I had an issue with just being like too addicted to video games, where I would just play. I would be on that TV and that Xbox just like all day, just nonstop. So for me, it was just like I just had to get rid of it,
Yeah.
Like, I was doing too much.
And do you feel like you're like compensating is not the word. Like, so you're not just like, okay, well, I don't have the TV screen, but I have my phone screen, my computer screen. Is it just like being made up with that? Or do you feel like it actually freed up?
It freed up a lot, yeah. Because the phone is, I am on my phone a fair amount, but a lot of times I'm looking at what I need to do, or I'm communicating for something work related, where on the Xbox, it was just like, I'm just in one spot playing 2K like all day, Halo. I grew up heavy in video games. So I went through all video game phases. And so before I moved out here, a year before I moved out here, I basically just chose to just stop playing. And then once I got out here, I just never took it out the box, the Xbox. I never took it out. I just left it in the corner and just kind of got to work. Just because it's a different pace out here. So
Yeah, especially like, and you're doing the thing. You moved to LA to be an artist, and you're being an artist, right? And like
Right.
you're living off it. So I always think that's cool. And I feel like people always say like, "Oh, don't do that. It's gonna be hard." It's like maybe, but if you make it happen, you make it happen. That's
Yeah. LA, you said you feel like people say don't go to LA, it's gonna be hard.
well, like, so I grew up in LA. I'm in San Diego now, but I grew up in San Pedro, which is technically LA County, but it's not downtown, which I feel like is the LA. And you meet people all the time that I get moved here, right? But then even in LA, like you have friends that want to be an artist, and like their parents are telling them like, "Oh, don't do that." We have friends telling other friends, "No, don't do that." Like that's so cliche. It's not going to work. You're going to be a starving artist. And it's like,
Yeah.
way to discourage, you know?
It is kind of true, I guess. Starving artists definitely is. You can't fight against that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so it seems from you though, like you are always busy, right? And it feels like it's like a goose nest. I definitely want to dive into that. Well, I feel like I know because we talked about it, but like, what is goose nest for people listening?
Goose Nest is really predominantly, I would say, a video company, where like we really mainly specialize in film and editing. But then at the same time, like we build websites. We have filmed a lot of things, from product shots for like different medical dispensaries to music videos, which is mainly what I would say we're mostly known for, as well as we make merchandise as well. And really anything creative, photos. I'm doing merch designs for somebody. And then I actually facilitate those getting printed as well. And then as well as I just started managing an artist named Bo Radley.
Okay.
So, it's mainly music videos, but like, for instance, managing this artist, it's like, hey, well, let's just shoot all your videos and get them done fast and have you be in full control while we're editing. And then so while managing, having that ability to be like, hey, we want it to look this good and you're not going back and forth with anybody, is always great. But overall, we're a video production company that does a lot of stuff as well. It's me and my partner. I have a partner named Levi. He works with me. Sometimes he's a great editor, great filmer. Any of my videos, obviously, I can't film them. So he's the guy. Because I'm busy, I'll send him to do the jobs. He'll edit. I'll kind of oversee it and whatnot.
So how did that all get? Did you move to LA and then start all that? Or were you doing all this before LA?
No, I was so our first music video that we ever did, we paid somebody. It was this film company called 55 Mil, and they gave us the edit. I wonder if I should have said the name, but anyway, they gave us the edit, and it just didn't. It wasn't up to par. I didn't really like it. And really, the main reason why I went with 55 Mil is because they had a cool intro, and if you see that intro, it's like, even you're a rapper, it's like, oh, you're doing it. And then they didn't even want to put the intro. Then I started thinking, oh, they're not really proud of it. That's why they don't want to put it. And right.
Yeah, that's a sign.
So, you know what I mean? It's like, dang, you're not putting that intro. At least that it was, the edit was underwhelming, but at least put that in front of it, and they didn't even want to put that. Yeah. So that was the last time I ever asked anybody to shoot or film a video. That was when I was still, that was probably like 2010 when that happened.
Oh, so just like one time you're like, nope.
Done.
Yeah.
Done. And I started in Final Cut Pro. And then, I wanted my own cool intro. If you look at older videos, you could see the original, you could see the Goose Nest logo kind of evolve over time a little bit. Not like it's done this a bunch of times, but you've seen it get cleaner and whatnot. And it started really way back then, just wanting to, not even really thinking I was going to come to LA and build this company, more just I was going to create our own, basically edit and do all our music videos, but have full control over it and, make my own thing, something that looks cool, It really wasn't necessarily branded that heavy. It just was like, oh, you need to have a cool intro, right? So Goose Nest, and then kind of spin off not even kind of a spin off my last name. And then, kind of been at it ever since.
Yeah. When I was going through your Instagram, there was a point where you said like there's a goosebumps. And I was like, you could do so much with that. Like,
oh yeah,
just,
yeah. Actually, my one of the most known album, the album I'm most known for is my first album, Goosebumps, and a lot of my stuff is themed after that. I'm gonna be dropping a music video probably next week, and it has slime, and it's like that's like my bread and butter right there. It's like Goosebumps. Even the apparel that Goose Nest has will have Goosebumps art. I'll have like somebody airbrush it, and then I'll scan it DTG on the apparel. So it's cool.
Yeah. So you have Slay Squad, you have Goose Nest, then you have yourself, right? Because you're doing your own thing too. How do you keep a lid on all that? Like, cause I feel like that's a lot to manage, but you're doing it, right? And you're managing other artists. Like, how do you stay organized with all that going on?
Well, the number one thing that I learned from somebody is you treat it all as one. Like you treat it all as one. Like I remember I used to have a OneNote, and then it would break into categories. Things to do.
You're on OneNote, yeah.
Things to do, Slay Squad, things to do. And then what happens is you end up in one list too much, and then this one didn't get. Now I just have one big ass list. Straight up. It just says, like right now, my list it's gonna say Slay Squad beanies. It said, what does it say? It says website for Stain. So that's the Goose Nest website. Beam producer purchase, right? Because we have a lease, we gotta purchase the full song in its entirety, so we can do whatever we want with it. Bow Hat, which is my artist I'm managing. These are all just right back to back. And then Reb Verse, that's a personal verse that I need to do for my friend. So I just have it all as one. You treat it all as one. If one of these things are down or not going good, then the whole thing is not going good. That's more the mentality, which I feel like helped. Not saying it solves everything, but it at least gives you a little bit of a cushion.
Yeah, I can relate. I was in the same boat where I was kind of like, this Excel sheet and that Excel sheet. And it's just like to do this, right? But it's like you say, it's like a body. If your leg goes out, your leg's out. You need that. Even though, like, okay, well, I'll just focus on my arm today. It's like, well, if you don't have a leg, you can't really. You get stressed out. Everything has to be good.
Right.
How long did it take you to learn that? Like to learn, like, let me focus on. Look at things this way.
I would say my whole life, even to this day. Because it's even to this day, I'm still like, okay. It honestly never ends. I feel like I'm still learning because even Goose Nest, it's a up and coming establishing company, but there's still so much work to do with it. Slay Squad has a lot of buzz, Bo Radley, so it's still, I feel like every day it's a learning process. Maybe the last 2 years I've taken it more seriously since moving here. Really like the last year and 3 months is when I've really like held myself to it. And I feel like I've gotten better, but every day is a learning process for sure.
Yeah. So on the note of Slay Squad then, so I found you guys for No Cover, and it seems like that's taken off, right? Is there a part of you that, well, it seems like we just had this conversation, but are you gonna, like, if the Slay Squad rock ship goes up, are you just gonna ride that and then kind of put things on the hold, where are you always doing everything at all times?
No, like what I would like, it's always everything. It's always everything. Reason being is that at the end of the day, Goose Nest will always be intertwined with Slay Squad, unless we got to the point of like, hey man, Director X, he's gonna do something top to bottom, or something to where it's like, man, I don't even need to, I just fully trust this person with what they're doing, you know?
Yeah.
And even then I would still, I'm a nerd with it too. So I like to be in the room with editing. Same thing I am with my music as well. When they're mixing and they're mastering, I like to be there. If someone's editing, I like to be there. I like to be hands-on. So I feel like there'll always be a way where Goose Nest could be implemented into Slay Squad, even if we're big as Slipknot. I'm going even better, right? Because then I get to edit the video for Slay Squad, throw that logo on there, make sure this video is in line with our vision. And yeah, just making it again, kind of like that all is one, everything going hand in hand. Yeah. You know, managing an artist, that is a little bit different, right? Because being realistic, that can be hard to do if you're a super huge artist. But even with those plans, it's like even hiring a day-to-day manager for that artist, and then I would still be managing, you know? So, and then again, just like there is cons to doing a lot, there are pros as well when you're making them complement each other. So if Slay Squad gets bigger, now Goose Nest gets bigger. Goose Nest gets bigger, then our artist gets bigger because we're still doing her videos. Wait, this artist that's on the come up is still getting videos by the same person that does Slay Squad, and they're super huge. You know, these are pros. Yeah, I feel like it'll be and then in the future, I don't like, I'm obviously not going to be rapping for the rest of my life. Like I will always make music. I will always rap, but I feel like at some point, age-wise, I'm not going to be necessarily probably in front of the camera just rapping, doing my thing. I would hope not. I would like to you know, enjoy what we've built after a certain point. I definitely won't be 50 in front of the in front of the camera. And maybe at that point, then Goose Nest could be getting into movies, which is interest. The basis of Slave Squad, we've talked about, he has a whole movie treatment that he's written, and we've talked about filming that. So that's something in the future we would get into as well. And, you know, getting Grammys, becoming an EGOT. You got everything, you know? So that would be my ultimate goal. If I could become an EGOT, then I'll be like, man, I don't know what else to do, man. I'm
Can't
done.
stop me. Yeah.
Then I'll pull the TV out.
And I'll pull the TV and like give everyone else a chance again. Which one do you want? You want this one? You can have that one. Yeah.
Then I'll pull the TV out. Once I become an EGOT, the Xbox come out the box.
Yeah, I've heard this. Yeah. That's cool, man. That's cool that you have the ambition. I mean, like, because there's times like everyone's at a different point in their life. Everyone has their own like perspectives or like how much they thought about it. And it's like sometimes I feel like, oh, what do you choose 5 years from now? You're like, I don't even worry about 5 years from now because I know it's gonna happen either way. I'll be here for 20 years, 30 years, which is cool. This is really cool. So then in terms of getting your hands full and getting involved in things, how did you get involved with working with on set with Doja Cat?
That was this company. So Slay Squad, and again, everything going hand in hand, right? We did some shows out in Japan. Like every year we go to Japan for about a month. We just film videos and we network with a bunch of artists, DJs, and just people around there. And so I met this guy. His name is Alan. He works for this company called Blank Square Productions. They do huge stuff. They do Little Babies videos. I mean, pretty much industry standard. The Babies, Lil Wayne and Corday, they just are the industry standard pretty much right now as far as hip hop music videos go. And I met him out in Japan. He ends up going back to Florida, moves to Cali, and then now I'm basically on call with Blank Square. So I kind of, in a way, it's like my phone's a pager for them. Hey, we want you on set. And we want you to do this. We want you to do that. Sometimes it could be PA. sometimes recently they hit us up to be in the video. They want Slay Squad, again, everything going hand in hand. They wanted Slay Squad to be, we were in a Scory video where they wanted us in the background of a video. And then this artist in TDE, I forgot her name. It's a girl, the new girl artist in TDE, but they wanted us to be the band in the music video. I don't. You know her name,
SZA, right?
Not SZA. Not SZA. Yeah, I would remember SZA.
I was like, oh, the new one.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
She's a rapper apparently. I forgot her name, but we recently got hit up for that. That's like in the talks, but we'll see what ends up happening. But they kind of just ring my line, hey, and and now that guy Alan, he comes to our shows, so he's a fan of Slay Squad, And then imagine we're chilling after we perform, and then he's like, "Hey, are you free this day? We're shooting for
always business."
Right,
yeah,
let's do it. So it's all intertwined. All intertwined. Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's really cool. Because again, so I guess going back to the starting artist, you're like maybe you start off that way. I don't know, but then as you get involved and you do your own projects, those cross pollinate and then things build. And that's cool. Kind of like the podcast and you have photography, and that's kind of, I guess, on a smaller scale, right? Kind of just bring them two together.
Yeah.
I really want to ask you. So part of what we talked about off camera is like using I like Beam a lot. I think it's a cool song. It's a cool video. And I saw Goose Nest is on there and you directed, edited it. How did you do that? Like, did you treatment that and pitch it to everyone? Did you just say, hey, everyone show up? Like, what's the story behind that?
So it usually will start out with, hey, I have an idea for this video. Beam specifically, I just used screenshots from the System of the Down music video, Toxicity.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay.
So when I was on set, I just had my laptop. I just had all these screenshots. And I go, so I know these are my angles. I know we're going to shoot it in a white room. We're going to go black and white because it was inspired by the Kanye and Pusha T video. I already knew that it was going to be black and white. And I hit up Levi in Goose Nest. I hit up my friend Narlos and my friend Rake. These are guys that have their own company called Phobia Films, but they're just very helpful guys. I've known them since we were young, and they also are filmers. And basically, that one was just straight. I mean, we literally are just screenshotting. In that video, if you ever look, the camera's going around, the band's in a circle, and they're getting different angles. So I'm just going through screenshots. I'm just do this, do that. Let's do this. Let's get this one. Let's get this one. Run it through once. Okay, switch. Run it through again. That one was, but at the same time, taking that and then going, okay, well, how do we embody what makes it us? The fashion, the rap ability, because the song changes, what's an element that we could add into that makes it different? We love Hummers. I feel like for our style, if we would have did Phantom or anything, it would have looked like we're those rappers just capping about what we really have. Hummer was cool. It's strong. And it just adds that different flavor or else the video would have just been all white room the whole time. In the edit, realizing rap part let's see everybody. Let's see our friends. Let's see the diversity in our friends. Let's see dogs. Everybody loves dogs. It's crazy because the process is very organized, but you'd also be surprised how much it really is just like that thought in action more so, because it's not, we didn't have a bunch of stacks of paper of like shot one. I'm telling you, like Google Slides, a bunch of just screenshots on one page, and I'm just, okay, go. Let's get the camera, put it on a C-stand, film from above. That's it. Simple as that. Simple as that. For that one specifically,
Yeah.
I feel like every video has a story in a way of how it was done, but that one was very much just looking at what influenced us and then spinning it to how we could show what we're about, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, now that you say, I can see toxicity, right? But before I was like, oh, I wouldn't, I just did another studio shoot, but that's cool. That's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, so one thing I want to ask you is, so you said like it's, I think it's you guys being you, and like on the show and everything, you guys see like your ghetto metal.
Yeah.
How is that different from new metal or rap metal or trap metal? Like all those words. Like why is it ghetto metal?
Ghetto metal. Okay, so the reason why it's ghetto metal is pretty much one, we wanted to create a name so we're exactly not those names like trap metal. We just wanted to have our own, like we're all about that. We have our own handshake, we got our own logos, we got our own, we like our own. We like to we're definitely, even all together, we're one individual, if that makes sense. As far as calling it ghetto metal, we called it that because it really does embody us, and there is a true difference. Reason being is that we grew up in the hardcore scene. A lot of artists that are like rappers right now are metal. Everybody's a rock star, but they don't really know really what's going on. Like we were a hardcore band before we were rapping. That's like that is the hugest difference. So we were doing shows in SoCal, which to me has arguably the best hardcore scene in the fucking world to me. My bad about cussing too. I'm good. Okay, yeah. So to me, it has the best scene in the world. So, and we grew up in that scene. That's the major difference. So we're certified. That's the big difference. So we wanted the name to represent that big difference. Like we are not the same. Like we're not trap metal. It's our own shit. So we call it ghetto metal.
Mm-hmm.
Ghetto metal. Even the first time I heard that term, we had a bowl show, and I was talking to this Jamaican guy, and he said back in the day there was some punk band. They never became anything, and they were called ghetto metal. And I was like, that's hard. He said it was an all-black punk band. He's like, nothing ever happened with it. But he was like, they used to do their thing, and I love the name. And I'm like, that sounds like the name of a genre, you know? And then we just rocked. We rocked with it ever since. And I love that name because it kind of, I've already seen it cause minor controversy, like on Twitter, just like, well, why are you guys calling it ghetto? Or all sorts of stuff. So I like it because of that. And then I love how different it is. And I just love how it represents us because we grew up in that scene. But we also grew up in this city called Rialto, San Bernardino. So these are cities where you go to school. Well, when we grew up, we go to school and then you'd go play, some nerd game. Then you do band practice, but then there's skaters, but then there's also shootouts, and there's also, you're next to everything, like you're really next to everything. When you go to school, there's Bloods, there's Crips, and then there's also the punks. There's also the hardcore kids, but everybody still somehow is at the same party or in the same place and whatnot. So that specifically, it just really truly represents Rialto. It represents us. And we just want some new stuff. Like we want new genres. Cause it really trap metal. I haven't heard anybody call this stuff trap metal, but it sounds like this. I've not really heard it mixed like that.
Yeah.
You'll hear beat, little guitar, but you're like, that guitarist is not a hardcore kid. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference of how you play, you kind of play, but if you from the scene, that hardcore scene, you can hear the difference. Like you could just tell. If you're really from it, you could tell. So That's to answer your question in a long sense. Yeah.
No, but I appreciate that. You know, that's cool. And I get like, so in Pedro, where I grew up, it's kind of like that where, depending on what side of the street you live on, right? If you know Pedro, I grew up on the side with all the gangs. My dad was in a gang, right? My mom was in a gang. But you would meet kids like that. There were all the skater kids that were like all Mexican, but they all were in hardcore bands, right? Even though that's not like, that thinks that the opposite would you be in. But like you, like Rotting Out is a hardcore band, and that's like their story. Not they're trying to make it that story, but that's just how they grew up. So you were friends with everyone, whether you liked it or not, or you knew someone because it was such a small town. But then you see them and you say, okay, well, they're hardcore. And then let's listen to a bunch of other hardcore bands. And all these hardcore bands sound very clean, like a better word. It's not bad, but you can tell there's not some spice that's probably not real, right? Where they're trying to imitate that spice. They wear bandanas. It's like, okay, wear a bandana, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that's I get you though.
You know what I mean? There's a
image. San Diego has a beautiful hardcore scene, like amazing. I've been to some dope shows in San Diego. I remember going to, I think it was American Me, and I'm pretty sure it was Zabalba. I've seen out there as well. But San Diego is dope. Like San Diego was cool. That show we did out there was cool too. That was actually like technically like the first show of the tour that we did out there. So it was cool.
Yeah, I saw that like Veil Maya and them, but I saw it after I found you guys. So like, oh, good coincidence, right? But so speaking of shows and stuff, how did the whole no cover thing come about?
Okay, so there's a band by the name of Winds of Plague.
Okay.
Legends. The guitarist of Winds of Plague, his name is Morgoth. He produced the beat on Mongo. And this show apparently was already going on. And they already were filming, and then we just get hit up from Morgoth. He's like, yo, I told the producers of No Cover about you guys, and they want you guys on immediately. And we just went. And at first, it was crazy is we almost didn't do it because we were like, well, like, that's corny. Like, what? We're going to go compete? Like, you know what I mean? We were just like, what? Like, what is this? Like, are they going to try and get money out of us? And we went, and it was cool because we really went with the true attitude of just like, okay, whatever, you know? Like, we're just like, cool, you know? And you could tell a lot of bands, you know, they were like taking it like so serious, like, this is the moment. And we just kind of were like, well, let's just have fun, you know? And man, fast forward to now, it's like so many benefits came from that show because the whole tour, everybody was just coming up to us. I seen you guys from the show. I seen you guys on the show. I seen you guys on the show. Yeah. That's it, you know?
Yeah. That's cool. And it's crazy how you're like, oh, we almost did that's cheesy. You know, like, fuck it. Let's just show up.
Yeah.
Because it is cool. Because I like the one thing when I was watching the show was like, I feel like I've kind of come in and out of like, say, music with guitar in it, right? So watching the show, I'm like, okay, the bands that are trying to show up make sense for what this show is. Like, I just feel like that's what I expected. Yeah. And you guys come on like, oh, this is metal. Like, it's actually metal, but now it's like a whole different metal, right? And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to watch, you know. And then fast forward, like, oh, what's music video? This music video, and then Goose Nest. I'm like, oh, the whole train started. Just kind of looked up the show real quick.
Man, that's dope. That's dope. Like, if anything, that's always been really the mission too, is like have a trail of things to look into, you know, like the way that you did that. That's honestly why I was so intrigued when we contacted each other, because I was like, oh man, somebody actually you followed it, like you looked up everything and to a certain extent you get it. And that's like really the mission. That's why you do all these things. You're like, oh, okay, you understand, because really the only people that understand that are people that look into it, or they're my friends. They're like, oh, you do this, you do that. But if you don't know, you know, some people they're just deep into Slay Squad. Some people are deep into my music. The other singer, Kilo, some people really mess with his music. He also does solo music. some people are just Goose Nest fans. They're filmers. They only like the filming stuff. They don't really care. They probably don't even listen to our music, you know? So the fact that that trail is being followed, it's like, that's exactly the mission right there. Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, man, I appreciate you. You do good stuff. So, well, I do have to run, but there's one question I want to ask before I ask my last question. Just
okay.
personally, what are the 3 ones? What is that logo? Like, what is that?
Okay, so 111 is the collective, which that's a collective of all my friends. I'm talking about Slay Squads in 111. Goose Nest. Haiti, come here. Sorry, my dog. Goose Nest is part of 111. You have J Rebel, you have bands, you have Sin and Passion. So there's psychedelic bands, there's punk bands, there's solo artists, there's producers, there's clothing brands, all under 111. 111 in the future would be a label, would be turned into a label that basically funds clothing brands, different artists, bands. And this is just a collective of a group of people that some grew up in the same area, became friends, and all started their own ventures in their way. They started their own Goose Nests, whether it's not Goose Nests, but it's a band. Yeah. But we all group it under 111. 111 will ultimately be the label. It'll be a festival. It will be a clothing brand. It'll be, be that. 111 is just the collective overall of everybody, of all the different artists that are a part of 111. So that's why they'll comment 111 in support. And then it also makes people feel like they're part of like our club in a way. So, our supporters always comment that on stuff. They comment that on No Cover Heavy. Everybody, 111, 111. That's just like, that is 111. 111 is also numbers. How that started, came about was basically, I would see that number all the time. I'd be like, man, and I felt like if I follow that, if I see that, I'm good. I'm on the right path. So it kind of is treated as that. If you see it, you're on the right path. And that is like kind of like Slay Squad and the 111 collectives, like in a sense, spirituality. It's like, hey, keep it 111, keep it to the roots, so that's 111 in a nutshell.
Very cool. I was afraid I was going to come off like, dude, it's area code for our phones or something. I was like, okay, I'm going to ask a dumb question, but I do want to know because I see it everywhere too, but I didn't realize it was that significant, which is cool.
Yeah. So a lot of us got it tatted on us. Everybody in it got it tatted on them. We throw it on merch. It like, in a sense, is like the even above Slay Squad. That's like Slay Squad is even under 111.
Yeah, in Beam, I don't know who it is, but there's a guy who is on his hand. And I was like, okay, clearly this is.
Yeah. That's like my best friend Garrett. I've known him since 3rd grade. But
wow.
He has seen the 111 brand Goose Nest. It started actually in his garage. When I first would edit, I would edit at his house. So he's seen it all. And that's, it just goes to show you, like, a lot of us known each other since 3rd grade, 2nd grade. We've known each other all since little kids. So 111 is like really, truly like the brotherhood. Now you still have like the brotherhood, but obviously because it's like a lot of fans, it's like everybody has 111 now. At first it would only be now everybody 111, and that's cool. I honestly, I'd rather have it like that. Like I'd rather that than it's just us, so it does feel good to have that support. But that's why we started getting the tattoos, because we're like, okay, well, let's see if you guys have the guts to do this. So we got it.
How much do you care?
Got it on the head, man. You know what I mean?
Oh, shit. Nice.
Yeah. Like we and then, but they do that too. They tatted on them too. So, and I'm not mad at it. So
yeah,
it's cool.
Yeah, it shows your commitment, right, to art. At the end of the day, that's really all it is, which is you're an artist, the full circle, right? Hey, Brahim, it's been cool chatting with you, man.
Likewise.
Appreciate it. To wrap up, one last question: is someone who's been doing this for a long time now, right, and has worked with every type of art you could think of, what's some advice you could give to someone that's wants to get started in their own art?
I would break it down into 2 to 3 things. One, don't use what you have. Don't put off something just because you feel like I'm going to need that camera, or I'm going to need that lens, or I'm going to need, don't put off anything because you don't have a certain equipment or anything. Just literally do.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is, I think, extremely important. Like, well, I'm not going to film the video until I have enough money to rent the rental space, or I got to sit. I don't even waste your time, because then everything gets pushed back. You end up just wasting time, and everybody's attention is very short.
Mm-hmm.
So just film. And this is stuff that I'm barely realizing now, because I've dropped at a slower pace than I want to because of these things. So I'm literally speaking from, hey, now we're done with that. We're filming in the house. Like, we're just going to film in the house and give people the damn art. That's the second thing. Give people your art. Just give it to them. Stop holding on and just give them the art. Give them the art. You have to give them the art.
Mm-hmm.
People like to see the DIY. People like to see the process. A lot of people are scared to show, well, I don't want to show it unless it's pristine or anything like that. Up until now, the stuff that I was editing even before would get more views, and it wasn't even filmed on a cinema camera and edited and color corrected. I didn't even know what any of that was.
Mm-hmm.
I would just film. I didn't even storyboard anything. I would just point the camera and edit it. That up until probably like 2 years ago, that was getting more views than the stuff that I was sitting there like, I gotta go hard and we gotta plan it in the meetings and just create. Just create. That's like so important. It's very cliche, but it's very important. Yeah.
For sure. All right, man. I do have to run. But this was fun. Yeah. This was a lot of fun. I know it's 20, 30 minutes, so I appreciate you staying an extra 20, 30 minutes.
Oh, I don't mind at all. I don't mind at all.
Yeah. For sure. Well, Brahim, where can people follow you, see more of your work?
You can follow me at Goose. Goose is spelled Gousse. Then you go in my bio, you'll see it, but it's Goose Nest, Gousse Nest. And the band is Slay Squad, SLAY Squad, on Instagram. And shoot me a message if you want to talk or whatever. Like, I am pretty responsive. I do try to respond and get into conversations. Next time I'm in San Diego, maybe we get a beer or something like that. Like,
Let me know.
Yeah.
For sure.
We'll definitely make it happen.
Yeah. Well, for sure. Well, thanks for joining me today, Brahim, and thank you for everyone that listened today. I'm going to go and stop recording, and I'll see you all later. Thanks.